All right. Hey, good morning. Good afternoon, I guess. It's good afternoon here. It's good evening for some of you. It's a little bit earlier, just good. Good Shabbat to you. Happy Shabbat. And so what I wanted to do today is once again, we did this, I think, week before last, maybe. I'm not going to be on long, and I'll tell you why. And then whatever I do today, what I'd like to do is make an announcement, and then my family, some of my family, are coming to my house today, and we're going to spend a day just together. And I think that is the right thing to do today for sure. And so what I wanted to do was just let some of you may not know this, but one of my wife's sisters, her only surviving sister, who was a little bit older, but my wife, Bridget, had taken in her sister and become her full-time caregiver. And that's a good thing to do in families. I think my wife is to be, she would not say this, but to be commended for showing that family is so essential, and especially in times where we have family in need. So anyway, Leslie Marie passed away this couple of days ago, actually. Time, in situations like this, time runs together, but she did pass away with her family around her bedside, which is always as good as you can hope for. And so because of that, or that's one of the reasons, I do want to keep it short today, but I wanted to come on. I do want to talk for a little while. So let's say maybe we do 45 minutes or an hour. And in that time, if everyone could, make your points, and we'll move to the next person. We'll kind of keep it short. But but first of all, let me make an announcement. I'll tell you about something that's coming, and we're going to leave the YouTube audience we're going to leave the stream on YouTube the whole time because of the shortness of this and the importance of the announcement. So here's the announcement, long overdue. For the past several months, I've been working on a deep dive, a deep study. And, initially I think I said, we're going to do a journey through the Gospels. I don't even remember what I called it. But one of the things that I want to make clear is that doesn't mean we're going to pick up Matthew and just read it together. We're going to be doing a deep dive, let me say, in the Bible. This entire unfolding, this entire research that's gone into this has opened up some things that I think are very important to share. Now, I've said this a couple of times. I mean it. Now, here's the announcement. For 20 years, every Saturday, unless, something came up and I might have been in Israel or Jordan, or on the rare occasions where I could not be here, since I think I started publicly teaching in 2005. I did classes, I did lectures before that, but that's been a long time. And one of the things that my family has seen because of that is from Friday evening to Saturday evening, Ross, Dad, Saba, we can't be together really because this has been my life. And I'm happy to have done it. But over time, and particularly when I started researching and working on the Moses Scroll, and I started thinking about how the Decalogue is the essential faith. Everything should be from Horeb, right? So my whole life over the past little while has been bringing me to a certain place. I'm not retiring, so don't think that. But here's what I am doing. I've decided that I'm moving to a new day and a new time. And here this is. I'm going to tell you what that new day and new time is, and you're not going to forget it because I'm going to hit you with this so much. Beginning the first Sunday of October, God willing, I will go live on Sunday at 2 p.m. Central Time. You see how kind that was? Seth and I talked about it, and we said, look, we're going to give people back the greatest gift, and that's Shabbat. I want everybody to experience Shabbat in a way that is just, I think, refreshing, and everything about Shabbat has always meant something special to me and all of you as well. And in the past, I've thought about it like this. You know, I used to joke privately with people that I work harder on the Sabbath than any day of the week, and I exclude my family from interfering. I mean, think about that. And it's never really hit me because I would think of myself as, well, I'm sharing the Shabbat with the world. I mean, I come on and we discuss the Bible. What better thing could there be for Shabbat? So Friday evenings, you know, even when I was working in industry, I'd work all week up until Friday, and then a lot of times I wouldn't even go home. I'd go straight to my office, wherever that was, and I would just pour myself often most of the night, and then Saturday morning at 10:30, come on and greet all of you, and I would teach. So beginning the first Sunday in October at 2 p.m., we're going to be teaching a course. I'm not going to call it I don't even know, like usually I would say, all right, this is a series on whatever, but here's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to call it, get ready, Sunday School. You're going to go to Sunday School with Ross. Now, Sunday School with Ross isn't your typical Sunday school, I can promise you, but that's what it is. Now, I imagine that by the time we go live, I'm going to be sitting here. I'm going to be teaching through this microphone, I think. I mean, it's a good microphone. We're going to have this camera. Everything about Sunday School with Ross is going to be what you're used to, a deep dive into the Bible. And I know that some people might think, well, wait a minute now, we're supposed to honor the Shabbat. And I'm going to tell you, yes, we're going to do it hopefully, prayerfully, in a more meaningful way than we've done in the past. Now, we've got plenty of content if people want to incorporate some of what we've done for Shabbat. Like Seth told me the other day, we're brainstorming various ideas. We've got years of Torah study on our YouTube channel, and one of the things that I'd like to do with Seth's help is when we put out the weekly newsletter, that's not going away. We're going to say, here, if you'd like, here's this series on Bereshit, here's this, you know, and you'll get that in the newsletter. You'll get links to all of those old classes. We've got enough. I've taught almost for those 20 years, most of that has been from the Torah portions. So like you could binge who knows how many classes. We've got a lot of them. So anyway, so I'm going to make that available, but I'm also going to encourage people, if there's one thing that we should all do, regardless of where you're at spiritually, is sanctify that day. It ought to be different. And I wrestled over the years with this one question, like, and when Seth first started working with me, that was one of the things that he asked me, you know, about the Sabbath. And, you know, I don't remember the full conversation, but it really came down to this. If I worked, let's say I was an attorney, and on Shabbat, I did attorney stuff. In a way, that would be considered work. You see what I'm saying? And so all week, every day from the time I rise until I lie down, I do Bible. And I teach and I do various things associated with that. Well, I would always excuse myself because, I felt like it was what I should be doing on Shabbat. But now I've got this idea, and we're blessed. We have a lot. We have all of our kids and grandkids are local, except my oldest son and his boys, and they're in Colorado. But the rest of the gang, I have Bridget and I have 6 kids and 10 grandkids, and I hope that we get a lot more grandkids because 10 is just, But I thought about having Saturdays with Saba and Bibi, where you come to the house and we might have a wonderful meal. We might, just hang around, just really, really get to know one another. And we know each other pretty well, but you get the idea. So I went on a little bit longer with my part of that, but I just want you to be ready. So I don't want people to think, wait a minute, you're moving to Sunday. Sunday's not the day of This has nothing to do with a lack of respect for Shabbat, but the way I want you to understand it is I want you to think of this as me giving your Sabbath back. I took it. I didn't mean to. Nothing ill intended over it. I wanted you to be with me on Shabbat. Now I want you to be with your family if you're blessed to have that. If you're not, again, there's plenty to watch. So that's it. Now, I'm telling you now that I've got stacks of notes, and I am ready at any point to turn the camera on and jump into some good Bible classes on the new series. But I am going to wait until, what is that, October the 5th, I think. First Sunday, 2 p.m. So most of you, at least where I live, you'll be able to sleep late. I'm trying to also think globally because we have people, for some, the time's not going to work out live anymore, and I have to apologize. But anyway, that's the announcement. Now, I'm ready to discuss with all of you whatever, this idea, this topic, or the Torah portion. And then what I've got to do is it's 12:15 local, my time, and I really want to wrap it up by 1 p.m. So I'm going to bring you friends up. Betty Elisheva, Shabbat Shalom, my sister. How are you?
Shabbat shalom, Russ. I'm good. I was a little under the weather and missed last night. I feel bad about that, but Baruch Hashem, I'm better today. I had a good night's sleep. First of all, I wanted to say thank you. I'm glad you are doing that for yourself and your family, and we can all have an opportunity to do maybe not exactly the same. I'm kind of alone here, but I have my puppy and I have my books and I have, I think there's a Torah study somewhere here, surely. If not,
Start
I've
one.
studied by myself for years, right?
If not, start one.
Yeah.
Get your own Sabbath study. That's right.
Yeah. Anyway, I thank you for you because you have been a slave to us and almost to Shabbat for all these years, just knocking yourself out doing all of this. And that's not what Shabbat is for. It's for rest and rejuvenation. And so I'm happy that you and your family will get a chance to do that. And maybe more of them will come to enjoy Shabbat with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for that. I'm not going to move on from you because I know you have other things. I was just going to say, several people ask me, well, what do you do for Shabbat? And I would say, well, I teach on Shabbat. What else do you do? But really, there is this idea, and I'm not saying, oh, I've been in shackles for the last 20 years, and now I'm free. I don't mean to say that I haven't been really, truly blessed by the past 20 years, but When the only downtime that I've had over the last 20 years is I would take Sunday and I would squeeze everything into Sunday, like not only my grass cutting and, yard work and things around the house, and maybe the family might come over. If your birthday was on Saturday, if you were going to get together and the family would get together, they know I'm not going to be there. Or if I'm there, it's late. I pull up at the last minute. I'm looking so forward to moving to Sunday that, I'm almost giggling. I'm so happy. So
Good. Anyway, that's good. I think Michael Purdue, thank you for putting that in. He put a servant. I said you were a slave. I didn't mean it in the
oh
sense
yeah,
of,
no, I know. Yeah, I
okay,
got you.
okay. Um, well, I have to tell you just a couple of things, and I'll be short. Mitzvahim is was the parsha, the Torah reading on the Sabbath when Roger and I converted.
Okay.
Our rabbi picked it out, and I think he just knew more about me than I realized he did.
Yeah.
Because I have always, when I read it, I always think that when I read verse 1 and then skip down to 14, that is not just for you, it's for those who come after.
Right.
And I've always felt like from the very first time I read it, my heart and my soul, and that's Deuteronomy, just linked into that verse. And I feel like in one way or another, I kind of stood at Sinai. I don't mean anything crazy
Right.
or anything,
I know.
but yeah, metaphysically, because every time I read the passages that describe Horeb and the giving of the 10 words, I can't explain it. I just get a feeling like overwhelming. I can't explain it.
Yeah.
So I won't try.
Yep.
But a very short story on Mitzvahim, and that is that for a while after my teaching, I sold Israeli cosmetics and skincare from the Dead Sea.
Right.
And our leader, our president actually, was Jewish. He was not particularly an Orthodox Jew, but he was Jewish. And one day we were talking among some friends, and he said, "Well, you converted, Betty. When was that?" And da 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 da. And I said, "Yeah." And guess what my parsha was? And I told him it was Nitzvahim. And so, okay, he is 6'6". He was sitting down, and he stood up, all 6'6" of him, straight and tall, and he said, Nitzvahim, that's what it means. Stand, stand and be firm. And I will always remember that because I think that's what we need to do.
I love it.
As you and Jono mentioned so beautifully in the introduction to Torah Pearls this morning, that's what Charlie Kirk did.
I love Nitzavim. It's one of my
I
favorite
do too.
Torah portions. I love it. I've
It
always
is,
said, yeah.
I know, and especially 30. But all of it, but and the 9 times with the heart and soul.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think of the song, I fell in love with you, heart and soul.
Yep.
And I love those 2 words that go together. I think I spoke of them when I gave my little talk at our last conference on the heart. But I think, and I liked what you said about circumcision of the heart, that it's sensitizing the heart.
Right.
And how, we're told to do this in chapter 10 of Deuteronomy, yet in this portion, God does it.
Right.
So to me, that's like a joint effort, kind of like the teshuvah process.
Mm-hmm.
We repent. He says, return to me and I will return to you. It's like, you do this, I'll do this, we'll work together and we'll be Yachad. And I like that. One other thing, and is that I've mentioned this before, but one of my favorite rabbis from years ago, who is now passed away, used to say, and this was regarding the prayer book, but I take it when I'm studying words of Torah. He said, "Don't just turn the pages; let the pages turn you."
Yep. Beautiful.
And I love that.
I do too.
So
Hey, good stuff, Betty. I
thank
appreciate
you.
it. Yeah, and one other thing, just so that this group is ready, I've got a couple of thoughts that might hit me that I want to bring in. Again, about this Sunday school class. It's going to be I hope, a really good Sunday school class. I have for 20 years or more, as you know, really been in a group that I've often said I feel at times like I'm teaching teachers, because all of you, many of you, most of you have really come alongside with me, and some of you are further along than I am, but you've been this way. You know these things. And the world around us needs to know. The world around, I'm thinking of Bob Dylan's song, Ring Them Bells. And
Mm,
and baby, I want to ring them bells. I want to reach the world. I mean, that is something that is just coming up inside of me. I want to reach the world. And I want to use the Bible to reach the world. I want to in my mind, in my heart is this idea, the Bible for everyone. It has
mm,
so blessed me. And I have in some ways put myself in a little bitty room.
mm,
This is no offense to those who are listening to me, but here's the deal. We're talking, it's almost become like we're talking a language that the world around us may not know.
mm,
I say the Tanakh and Nitzavim and go in the Torah. We're in book Bereshit, and today is the Shabbat.
mm,
Hallelujah. And and someone who is looking for God, they may get lost in the vocabulary that we've learned. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not like I'm going to just go back and, I love the ASV, but when I read a word, I may say, now let me tell you what this word means. And it says, ye are standing. This is the way I would teach. Ye are standing here. In Hebrew, the word is nitzavim. And the root word means to stand, to like you
mm,
station someone. So I'll do those kind of things. But I want you to know that what's coming is the Bible for everyone. Use the terms that people in the English speaking world know. I'm telling you now, get ready. I feel like this is to use a Jesus parable, if you don't mind. I feel like you're the 99. You
mm,
are the 99 sheep in 100 sheep flock. And there's one out there. I got to go get that sheep. Excuse my grammar.
mm.
But I'm going to bring that person in with God's help. Bezrat Hashem. With God's help, we'll
Hashem.
reach those people. And you know what? Those people get ready. Those people are not going to believe like you. They're not going to know what you know. And I'm going to beg of you to be kind and understanding and know that the next calls beginning October 5th, they're going to walk in here and they may not know anything. They may be a fundamentalist Christian and they're going to have tough questions. And they're going to have questions that all of you might say, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. It's in the bottom drawer, or I took it to the thrift store long ago. I don't want to get it out again. This is what when I tell you, and I'm not saying I saw a burning bush. I didn't hear a voice. When I tell you that on the inside, I have got to do this. Now, I also have learned a lot over the years like you have. I'm familiar with text criticism of the Christian writings and text criticism of the Hebrew Bible. And it's not like I'm just going to go back to some fundamentalist place, but I'm going to a place where fundamentalists are. You see the difference? I'm going to a place, I'm going to reach people who are just now turning to God, and they say, you know, I've never read the Bible. All I know is I went to Sunday school long ago. You know what so just get ready. And I believe that this group is the only group that I would feel comfortable bringing someone like that to. Now, one more point on that is I'm not going to lie to people. I'm going to tell them the truth. I'm going to do it with love. I'm going to help them move forward. And look, some of these people are going to say, you know, you're right, Ross. It just dawned on me that Jesus was Jewish. You may have to hear that. And I want to say, Betty, because you and Ronnie and a few others may have been at this meeting. I remember at a B'nai Noah conference years ago, let's say maybe 96, 97, and people were coming into that group. And all of us, we've been doing this a while. And someone would come in and they would say, wait a minute, you don't believe in the Trinity or whatever. And I remember a non-Jewish person in that group saying, we have to go through this every year. And I'm not going to name the rabbi, but an Orthodox rabbi in the group said, he turned and said, I hope so. I hope so. Because that's what you want.
Yes.
If our whole, see, I'm already getting preacher. If our whole goal is to come together every Saturday and tickle each other's ears, and you know, I want to reach the masses. I want to declare it from the rooftops. And that message that I want to declare is, it's not like I just leave everything I've learned aside, and it's not to dumb down a message, but it's to package it in such a way, not for any other reason than to help people along. So people at all levels, it's not like you're going to say, well, I'll skip this until they go back to the, I promise you we're going to cover some things that even people who've been doing this for 20 years may not be familiar with. So Betty,
Ross.
it means a lot that, you know, that you're on board, and I'm glad you are, because, you know, you're a teacher too. So.
Well, I have to tell you one thing, and I'm sure you will probably remember this. You know, Roger and I were doing insurance adjusting, passing through Louisiana on our way up different places. And you said, well, if you ever come near, I'm not sure if you still lived in Zachary then or what, but
I did.
Come by our house. So we called you and said, we're coming such and such a day. Can we stop by? And you said, sure. So I remember, and this was before I was a vegetarian, Bridget cooked a wonderful fried chicken dinner, and we all sat at the table, and then, you know, got everything cleaned up, and you and Roger and I sat at the table into the wee hours of the night.
Yeah.
And you just spilled your heart out to us. And I can think of it now with tears in my eyes, saying how much your heart was burning to preach, to be a preacher. But you had this job, and so you didn't know how that would ever come to pass. But I remember that so well, and I love it because now you're getting to fulfill your dream that God put there in you.
That's right. And thanks for reminding. I'll move on to OV, but I'll tell you, I remember leading up to getting the time, I remember praying to God and saying, look, you know what I want to do with my life. And if I just had more time, and then I got fired and I had all the time I needed. So, so there you go. I was relieved of my responsibilities in industry. You know the old saying, you got to be careful what you ask for.
Yeah,
Betty,
well,
you've
you
been a
let go and you let God,
that's
right?
right.
That old
You,
saying.
you've been a
Thank you,
fate.
guys, and bless you. And I love you. You know that, and
I,
your family, and everybody here.
I
Y'all are
love
just so special.
I
Okay,
I love
I'm
you too.
going.
Thanks, Betty.
You're
Appreciate you.
welcome.
OV. Let's see, coming at you. There we are. Hey, my brother, how are you? Shabbat shalom.
Doing good, doing good. So this come up last week when I'm watching History Valley on YouTube with Jacob Burma. There,
Yeah,
he has some pretty good guests
sure.
once in a while. This was a Dr. Gad Barnier
Barnea.
that he had on. Yeah. So he was talking about the role of the Persian influence, the Achaemenid
Mm-hmm.
era between 500 BC and 300 BC, and kind of did a little bit of look on that. And it's like, whoa, it seems like it had quite a bit of influence on the Greek. Up to this point, it's like, well, it seems like the Greeks were the start of it all, and they influenced the Hebrew and the Hellenization of the Hebrew. It's like, well, before we had the Hellenization, it looks like we had a Persian
Yeah.
influence there. So he had a link in that video that led to a conference document, and I've kind of been weeding through that a bit. But one of the points that he mentioned that I wanted to bring up was that he mentioned a Greek historian called Theophrastus,
Okay.
who was the heir of Aristotle. He was from 371 to 287 BC. He wrote a lot. According to Diogenes, he's got 227 titles to his name, most of which are gone. I looked him up a bit in the Wikipedia there, and
Mm-hmm.
sounds like he mostly on plants and stuff, but he, wide range.
On what? On
Anyway,
plant? I'm sorry, OV. On plants?
on plants, that
Okay.
seems to be a
Okay.
big thing. But it seems like he wrote on almost everything, right?
Gotcha.
But according to Barney, the point I'm getting to is that in a 3-volume book that he wrote on all of the known lawgivers that he knew about, Moses wasn't in there. Seems like everybody else was, but Moses wasn't in there.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, that gives me something to think about. I mean, there's so many ways to think about Moses: the historical,
Yeah.
the mythical, the legend. You know, I'm kind of leaning toward the legend side of it here.
Mm-hmm.
And I see value in all of these different levels of being in terms of bringing a sacred work into the world, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I don't see him as pejorative on any, but I'm still looking now at like this raises a whole bunch of questions about when we actually bring Moses into the story, and you know, it's like seems to me that he should have been a character in this Theophrastus document uh, from the the 300s. So
Yeah.
I think that's just the information I'm bringing to the table here today, and maybe a few weeks after I read some of this, I might have more to say. But that's about all I'm going to say right now.
Well, thanks, OV. And let me just say, I'm quite familiar with Jacob Berman. I like Jacob, and I've been on his channel a couple of times, and there's a standing invitation for me to go back. His audience, for the most part, has been become more and more on. Now, this is not on Jacob. I love Jacob. I talked to him offline a bit too. But there is a leaning towards an academic view, which is becoming less and less tied to any reality contained within the text. I don't know if I can say it better. Maybe I could say it better, but there certainly Gad Barnea and other scholars have become convinced in their own minds that there's much more to the Hellenistic connection. They date the events later and later and later and later. You know, I've seen that in my own studies. And you know, I mean, there's a lot of discussion out there. It could be that this person that you're describing, this ancient author, there are a lot of reasons why, as you probably have considered, you said there's a lot to think about on why this is. Why would he not mention Moses? And one assumption that scholarship makes is, well, it's because there was no Moses, or that the legend was created later. You know, I've heard this on quite a few of the different lectures that I've heard. Well, that's one option, I guess. But there's another option, is that the poor fella just didn't have a good library, or that, you know, he just did not have that work, right? So there's a lot of different things out there, and I'm one to read up as much as I can on these different influences and how was religion shaped? How were the biblical texts shaped based on not just Hellenism? That certainly comes in later, I think, but the Persian influence. What is that? And Gad Barnea is one of the scholars that has written quite a bit on that. And I've got a few of the books on my shelf that I've just become aware of in the last couple of years, largely because of Jacob Berman's work. So I tell you what, when you do distill this information, you know, at a place, I know you're a deep dive student yourself, when you get to the place where you either, you know, want to share something, or you might want to share some of these articles, feel free to do that. If you do Facebook, feel free to do it on our Horeb Facebook page, or put it in the Discord, because others might be interested too. So, all right, my brother.
Will do.
Yep. Hey, I appreciate.
I'm not reaching any conclusions here. I'm just saying this is just something more to think about in terms of, like, the more we get outside of the actual biblical text,
Yep,
and aligning and finding out how did these biblical texts come into being here.
Yeah. It's a data point. Yeah,
interesting.
it's definitely a data point, and I appreciate you. And just so you know, I know, like you, I spend a lot of time looking at things like Oxford study notes and some of the best scholarship that I can find. And so I'm kind of a composite of what I've become over the past few decades. Man, I'm going to tell you what, going back to this American Standard Version Bible, I'm having the time of my life looking at text with fresh eyes. And, you know, there have been times where I wouldn't carry an English Bible in my bag. You know, I just wanted to look at the original languages and academic works, and I'm in a different place now. But it doesn't mean that I'm not interested in what's the latest, greatest, you know, views of scholarship. I'm doing research on the Northern Prophets. So this is Biblia Hebraica Quinta. This is on the Minor Prophets. My friends, the Tates, John Tate, I don't know if he's on, but John wrote me the other day and he said, hey, can I send that to you? And I said, what? Yeah, you can send it to me. If you're going to, I'd love that. So anyway, so I'm looking at the academic as well as so I'm diving into the biblical text, but with the knowledge that I've gained from some of these academic sources. So, OV, you are always welcome. I want your insights. And if I get a little bit religious fundamentalist nutty for you, still don't leave. Just write me privately and tell me, you know, where all I'm wrong. If you don't mind doing that, I'd appreciate it.
Oh, I wouldn't be that presumptuous.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, OV. I appreciate you, brother. All right. Lori and Justin, how are you, my friends?
Shabbat Shalom. Very good. How are you?
I am doing wonderfully. Thanks for asking.
Justin's sitting here just off camera.
All right. I know he's there.
I'll be quick. I want to first just give my condolences to you and your wife and your family.
Thank you.
And just tell you that we're sending our love and our prayers to all of you, as I know how difficult that can be, no matter how hard you try.
Yeah.
This past Thursday, my uncle, we received his cremation remains back from Texas. He was down in
Oh, man.
Texas.
Yeah.
And so we had a small funeral this week as well for my uncle, and that's sort of what's bringing this question on.
Yep.
So, it kind of all ties together. I've been having some trouble formulating my thought to make it all come together. So I apologize. So
Yep.
I understand
condolences from my family to
First.
yours as well. Yeah.
Thank you. For you were a Baptist pastor, is that right?
No, I was a Baptist, and I was
a Baptist. Okay.
I guess you could say I was a Baptist in training to become a pastor, and I just took a turn at Albuquerque.
Okay. All right. Well, here's my question, and it sort of ties into the current and what we're moving towards and some of these ideas. And I'm going to try and make it very quick. And it's kind of a statement that I don't actually maybe even anticipate an answer from you, but I just want to put it out there. Is on Thursday, we had my pastor from my Baptist church come to the cemetery to do the funeral.
Yeah.
And what stood out to me, and I thought about this, and I thought I'm going to ask you if you had heard this because you're Baptist in your Baptist background, is my pastor said that fundamentally we cannot fulfill the 10 Commandments. We cannot abide by them. And I thought that was such a strange thing to say, because I think that's the fundamental lesson of the whole Bible, is to follow the 10 Commandments. And I was really, really confused as to why he would say that we cannot meet the 10 Commandments. We cannot fulfill them, and therefore we have to believe in Jesus. And I wondered if that was something that was unique to his teaching, or if that was something that you had come across as a Baptist all the way down where you are. Do you see what I'm getting at? And I wondered about
yeah.
So I thought I'm going to ask you just sort of if you could briefly just tell me what you think on that note, because it's really quite confusing to my
a lot
brain.
of distance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me say this. First of all, thank you for that bringing that up, and this is no slight on the confused preacher that you're talking about, but he's not.
No. And like, I want you to understand, I love my pastor. My pastor he's such a good man, and he's got such a good heart, and there's no question about it.
Yeah.
But it really stunned me when he said we cannot meet the 10 Commandments. I thought, why not? I try every day to.
He inherited, let me just say, he inherited some bad information. Jeremiah 16:19 says, our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit. Now, let me add that. So this is not a slight on the pastor. He just needs to read more Jesus. All right? So let me give you an example. I wouldn't have interrupted that funeral. But I can tell you the place I'm at now, I probably would have went up and shook his hand. Maybe, I'm from the South. I might have even hugged him and patted him on the back. But I would have said, dear sir, Jesus was asked a question. What must I do to inherit eternal life? I said, and he answered that question. And the question that his answer was, keep the commandments. And the guy said, which commandments? And he said, you know the commandments. And he began to name the 10, right? Now this is the disconnect. Lori, this is why I feel led to go back and help those people, because you know what? They're lovely people. They love God. They want to serve God. And they've been told you can't keep it. I would want to know from the people that I love, which one can you not keep? Are you having trouble with the adultery one? Maybe with the murder? Are you killing people? Are you having problems with idolatry? And, you know, I think most people, and this, look, I'm moving to Sunday so I can have Shabbat. For 20 years as a Bible teacher studying Hebrew, I worked harder on Shabbat than any other day. And it's right in front of my face. So now I'm turning this to an internal critique. And I tried to excuse it. I said, well, I'm not a priest. I'm not even Jewish. Certainly not Levitical. My people, as best I understand, are from Northwest Europe. No trace to the Levant. But you know what? I would say, well, you know, the priest had to work on Shabbat. And so therefore I'm in a role of teaching. You know, I made all these reasonable excuses. But let me tell you this. The problem with the world today is we have people with good intentions telling things that are not true because they don't understand the eternal message from Horeb. And that message is simple. It is a commission, it is a mission to the people of Israel to teach these things. Deuteronomy 4 says this fantastically. It says that basically the nations of the world will look at Israel and they'll say, what a great nation this is. What nation is so understanding that has these commandments, you know? But you know, and I'm going to be frank with you, we have Jewish teachers who are saying you can't keep the Shabbat. I'm sorry, that's the truth from God. You should intentionally break a commandment because this commandment was given to the people of Israel. Now, while I understand what they mean by that, it is confusing the planet. Charlie Kirk knew better. And Isaiah knew better. Isaiah 56 talks specifically to this. If you're a foreigner and you feel cut off from the people of Israel, here's what I want you to do. If you take hold of the covenant, Ross, you Northwest European Viking descended whatever, grab hold of the Shabbat and keep it. Keep your feet from profaning the Sabbath and don't go about your own things. And you know what's going to happen? Here's what I would tell Christians. Do you know that Jehovah of hosts, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who chose Israel to be his servant, said this, not only is Israel his son, his beloved son, this is a message I'm going to preach to the world. Here's what he also said. If you as a non-Jew grab hold of that Sabbath and you keep the covenant, God himself will give you a place better than sons and daughters. I didn't say it. I'm quoting Yeshayahu. And Isaiah is speaking. He's moving his lips and his pen to say what the God of Israel said. So if I got a little preachy there, it's not directed at any Baptist preacher. It's directed at all people all over the world, because here's what's going to happen. We're going to confront misinformation that has been handed down. It's almost in the water we drink and the air we breathe. A lot of this is from the writings of Paul, which are either bad as some people believe they are. I see you, Todd and Angel. Or really poorly misunderstood. Because if you ask most Christians, hey, I'm thinking about keeping the Torah and trying to live according to the commandments, people will say, stop. You can't do that. You can't keep the commandments. Not only will you find yourself under a curse, because grace, salvation is by faith and grace and not by works, lest any man should boast. The Torah has been abrogated, superseded, annulled, nailed to the cross. It's been fulfilled in the life and death and burial and resurrection of Jesus. And for you to put yourself under that taskmaster, I mean, that's what's being preached. And what I'm going to say is you boys need to go back and read Jesus again. So people might, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know what October 5th and beyond looks like. But I can tell you right now that with what is in me right now is to go straight into that world and say, hey, come here. Did you know that the Bible says this? Did you know that the Bible says this? Do you think that Jesus would eat that? I tell you, I marked in my Bible for the first time, this new Bible. I tell you, I got a new Bible, right? This good, green.
I'm very jealous.
This is a beautiful Bible. I'm telling you, I'm going to let, anytime we run into each other at a conference or on a trip to Israel, if anybody washes their hands first, I'm going to let you hold this Bible. Because this is,
oh boy,
I'm telling you. No, but I'm just picking. But here's the deal. Going back in and marking some of these texts, my mind is rolling. And one of the verses that hit me like a ton of bricks 40 years ago is 1 John 2:6. And 1 John 2:6, I know some of you are saying, oh, here we go again. The gist of it is that, and I'll be telling Christians, if you abide in him, you call yourself a Christian, okay? It's not my call. You call yourself a Christian. You call yourself a follower of Jesus. If you are a follower of Jesus, if ye abide in him, you ought to walk even as he did. What does that mean? Well, some of you are going back 30, 40 years now with me. It means you're going to say, what did Jesus eat? Mm-hmm. What did he do? What are his festivals? Here's what happened to all of us. God gave us, through our hard study and earnest seeking and our prayers, he led us into a world with which we were not familiar. I'm talking about, I'm from Louisiana, and I remember saying to Bridget, I can't eat pork anymore. Why can't you eat? What are you talking about? It says in the Bible, and then you tell people that and they go, well, hold up. You're telling me you think God cares? I don't, and then you start going through all the things that we went through. And you know what happens? I think somehow, some way, we get into this place where we thank God I've arrived, and you forget about the next guy because they'll catch up. And they do, but they have to go through some bad channels. They have to go through people who hate Jesus. They have to turn to the rabbis who, no offense on, some of my good friends are rabbis, but they have to go to, let me scratch that back, rewind. I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea, but they go to some people who giggle and have YouTube channels, and that's their whole point, is to make fun. Look, we got this text, and it doesn't agree with this text, and this text. They won't do that with the Hebrew Bible, but they're happy to do it. And mostly it's not the rabbis. They're trying to do their job. But there's some of it. But then there's also the biggest people who are doing it are people who were former Christians. And rather than help those who are in that place that they were a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 30 years ago. Anyway, I'm getting a little bit wound up. But that's the point, is to say, hold up. You know, Jeremiah says, set up waymarks, road signs up. I don't think I did that. I didn't leave breadcrumbs for the next person. And I'm going to go back now, God willing. I'm going to walk back down that trail. And everybody I find along the way, I'm going to say, hey, man, hey, young lady, how can I help?
Well, I think you must have left some breadcrumbs, Ross, because we all found you, so there's some crumbs somewhere.
It's better to be lucky than good, they say.
I know they say that, but hey, even better than that is lucky and good.
You know, the hardest thing, and Justin, I'm honored to be in a group like this. If I had a group that didn't have a heart for this or the stomach for it, I couldn't invite people into this world, because they would be a problem. They would be mean. They would not be open and inviting. But I feel like this group, and I have people in this group who are Jewish, and they know me. They know that they have every right to say, whoa, I don't like the way you put that or whatever, but they can have that dialogue. But I'm going to bring people into this, and I'm going to express to them the beauties of Judaism. I mean, I have in my notes in the kickoff class, I'm quote right now, I've got, it's probably 20 pages of handwritten notes. I'm digging into the Talmud. I'm digging into the Mishnah. I'm reading things that I haven't looked at in 30 years. And I've got this one job, and that one job is to show people a path. I'm going to invite, most of you know Jeremiah 6:16. I'll probably quote it King James, because that's the way I got it planted years ago. Stand ye in the ways and see and ask for the ancient paths wherein the good way lies. I'm going to say, hey, you're all coming from these ancient paths. Everybody gets this wrong. Most people think you're looking for the ancient paths. Look, everybody look, that's not what you're looking for. That's where you are. What you're looking for is the good way among the ancient paths. And let me tell you this, Judaism, you can find that ancient path from Judaism. And get, I know, you may not believe me, but I'm going to tell you this. You can find that ancient path from the front row or the back row of a Baptist church. You can find it in a Catholic mass. You can find it from, I don't know where else, a grocery store. You can find it in a bar room. Anytime a person cries out to God and says, help me, I'm in a bad place. You know, there's a proverb. I think it's Proverb 28:9. I'm gonna paraphrase here, that if you don't keep the Torah, even your prayer is an abomination. And let me tell you who uses that. You ready? It's people like me who were miserable and lost as hell and cried out to God, and God answered me in my horrible state and led me to a place where I was in a relationship with the creator of all. And you know what? We tend to forget that. And then we use a verse to somebody that doesn't know what the word Torah means to tell them, if you're not as good as me, God doesn't even know you or hear your prayers. I'm walking with a machete back into an overgrown path is what I'm telling you. And I'm going to be kind and gentle with people that are lost and lonely, but those who well, we'll just see.
Well, I would just like to finish by saying that I have been Baptist my whole life. I was baptized just last year, and when I got baptized, I promised Jesus I would understand what he was trying to teach me, and I would listen to him, and I recognized that Jesus was pointing me to God.
Mm-hmm.
And I searched far and wide to find somebody who would be willing to hear what I had to say and answer the absurd questions that I have that may not make any sense to anybody, because I believe Jesus is pointing us back to God. Jesus is pointing us back to the Torah. And I spent a lot of time listening and watching many different YouTube people to try and connect. And, you know, Ross, you are the person, okay? So you're already teaching the people that you are reaching, the people you want to reach, you're already reaching. And that's who I am. I'm that person. And because of you, because of the people that are here that have allowed me, even in my own understanding, to ask questions and to open up my eyes and my ears to ideas that maybe I would have been much more resistant to, I have to tell you, I love God and Jesus so much more today than I did a year ago when I got baptized. And I love Jesus more today, knowing what he was trying to point me to God, than I did before when they were trying to teach me Jesus was God.
Yeah.
And
Amen.
having you as a place to come and just sort of feel like I can love both Jesus and God, and understand that even though there's a lot of connection between them, there is some separation, and that's okay too. You have become that safe place for somebody like me who really desires to know God and is afraid that what they're asking and what they're doing is in some way, you know, turning your back to Jesus. And you never did that. You've never done that. You continue to not, you know, you really do continue to say, no. We're not ignoring Jesus here. We're looking at what Jesus was teaching us from a different perspective. And so, you know, you are the perfect person to do this. I do want to say that. And I think that we're going to find in the fall that your word will reach a lot more people, because I think there's a lot of people like me out there that love Jesus so much and love God, and we want to understand, but you know, we're either told it's too hard, or that asking questions is somehow disrespecting God, or that, you know, there's just things that we aren't supposed to understand. And so, you know, I'm just going to end by saying thank you. Thank you for giving us a place to come together with different ideas and different interpretations, different perspectives, different loves for Jesus and God and the Bible, and allowing us to come together and have these conversations. And I got to tell you, this entire group is the greatest blessing that I've had the opportunity to be part of. I loved going to church. Every day I loved going to church, but Justin will tell you, I come home filled with this desire for these conversations, and he would be the subject of having to take on it all, you know?
Yeah.
So
Well-
he finally was like, when he
Yeah,
thought...
thanks, Ross, for taking some of my burdens away.
It's my pleasure. Let me say thank you.
Anyway.
All right, close
Let-
her up. Let
I'm
other
going to
people.
close her up so that everybody else can have a chance and we can get you out of here. But I just really wanted to reiterate, you're already doing what you think you're going to start doing.
Well, I don't know what the next day looks like. None of us do. We're not promised that. But I can tell you, years ago when I did the initial Following Jesus Out of Christianity, I started it by saying, I love Jesus. I always have. Now, let me tell you a story. And so I decided I would write a book. Probably in my mind, it was Following Jesus Out of Christianity. And I have a file cabinet with a big folder of what that might look like one day. It might get released, God willing. But I open it with 3 words.
Well, I'll put my pre-order in now.
I'll put the first 3 words are I love Jesus. Now, look, just to let you know, thank you very much. Those are kind and encouraging words, Lori, more than you know. I appreciate that. But I can tell you right now, there will be people who will be blessed by this. And by this, I mean this group and the whole thing that Seth has helped us set up here. But there will be people who don't like it. Now, the truth of the matter is, I can deal with both. We can deal with both because I'm not starting a fight. That's not what I like to do. What I like to do is say, here's my strongest case, and allow people to think about those things and entertain those things, because here's the goal. Look, none of us have it all figured out. I mean, I wish I did. I wish I could say, Lori, listen, all you got to do is just listen in every Saturday, and you get enough of them under your belt, and you'll be right there. We'll be all right. I don't claim that. I think we're all on a journey together, and I couldn't be more pleased with the group. And listen to this. You're hearing it for the first time here, probably. When you go to Israel with me, because your faith has led you to be baptized, and I've refused. I have not really been part of any baptisms. You know, I got too smart for all that. Hang on. You know, I'm not a Christian, and you've heard me say all that. I can't wait to get back to Israel, because one of the things that's on my list is to wade off in the Jordan and immerse myself in those waters and pray to the God who's led me to this place. Like, I'll probably whisper Valentine because other people might not know, but I'll probably say the Shehekianu, because now that's strange to mix this Jewish prayer with, but I'm telling you, I'm full circle. I am reading text that I learned as a little boy, and I'm on fire. And I'm going to bring back what I learned then with 40 years of wondering. And I'm going to say, I didn't get it then, but I got it now. And I didn't understand then what I know now. And I'm a lifelong learner. But I'm telling you, I can't wait. And so they have, by the way, I'll let you know, they do have robes. You can rent a robe there, and I'll bring you there. And they have fantastic coffee. So we'll just make a day of it at the Jordan River. And look,
we're in.
All right. Well,
literally.
Look, now I'm going to tell you right now, there are going to be people coming from Jerusalem and the Galilee, and it's not very far from where Valentine lives, where I'm talking about bringing you. It's this nice little place at the southern tip of the Kinneret, the Sea of Galilee. They got this cool place, and that's where I'll bring you. So we'll do
right on.
We'll do this, and then we'll have some coffee. How about that? Is that a deal?
That sounds wonderful.
All right.
Yep.
Hey, I love you guys. Appreciate you, and let me roll on down to Todd and Angel. All right, brother, sister, how are you? Shabbat shalom.
Hey, much love to you and your family, brother.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm going to make this kind of short because I could tell Valentine's falling asleep over there.
No, that's right. He's all right. He's taking notes.
He woke up now, didn't he?
Yeah.
But no, we just got talking, and so on October 5th, if that's what you're going to start, which I'm assuming you're doing a class and then like an after class or something like that.
Absolutely, that's the plan.
Okay. What we thought about doing is on noon Eastern Standard Time on October 4th, on the Saturday, is posting a Zoom call link in Discord, and she could do it on her Facebook page. And at 12 o'clock, we could still have like a gathering.
That's fine.
For those of us that still like to see everybody on Sabbath and just discuss whatever topic we want to discuss. It'll be open mic, no hands raised, no nothing like that, because we enjoy stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And Miss Carolyn.
That's good.
And I figured 12 o'clock noon, our time would be easier for everybody at 7 o'clock for Valentine. That's still 9 o'clock in the morning for everybody on the left coast.
Yeah.
Or west coast.
Yeah.
And all that, and just kind of make it to where we can all still get together, as far as
perfect.
Betty and Lori and Clody and everybody else. And, it just goes for as long as we ever go with it. And then, we'll see you on Sunday. I mean,
no, that's beautiful. That's fine. And, that's one of the things that Seth and I want people to know is this isn't the Ross Nichols show. I mean, Horeb represents a place where everyone can gather and be connected to that day where God spoke from the mountain, from the midst of the fire, to an assembly of people, including a mixed multitude. So that's one of the ways I always said, hey, I'm doing this on Shabbat, but it's, I think it's great. I mean, we want more people to be reaching more people. So that's great. I look forward to it. We'll talk offline. We'll get together and talk about what I can do to help with that, and if anything. But no, that's great.
Yeah.
Good deal.
So I just wanted to announce that, throw it out there, and like I said, we'll put links in Discord and her Facebook page so everybody can access it.
Wonderful.
Because I know not everybody's on Facebook.
That's right.
Or if nobody's on Discord and they want a link, they can email Angel and she can, email it to them or whatever, or they could look it up on, maybe she can post on her website or something. Maybe they can, look it up on that or something. I mean,
just email me. I don't want to be out there for everybody.
Well,
yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, no, I appreciate that. And people will be fine. Like I know, I mean, I prayed about this. I said, well, people are used to going on Saturday at 10:30. Shabbat Shalom. I'm Ross coming to you from the Athenaeum in Jackson, Louisiana, home of, they're used to that. But you know what? They're going to get used to Happy Sunday. I'm coming to you live from, let's begin your week. I wrote down several notes about that. How do I kick it off? I'm praying about it. But every day, imagine a world in which every day you can log on, maybe Shabbat at 12, or you can log on Sunday at 2. How about Monday with someone else? How about Tuesday? How about Wednesday? How about Thursday, Friday, where every day a person who's searching for God and for a group of people who will be willing to discuss these things, that's what we want. I mean, look, you got to think, I want to live to be 120 and maybe go to meet my maker when I say I'm signing off, at 120 years old. That's what I'd like. But we never know. So in the meantime, consider this a training ground for people to understand that, this group is going to attract someone who is a fundamentalist Christian. There might be people logged on now who have their mic off and they're praying in tongues. I don't know. There might be Pentecostals and Presbyterians and Baptists and Orthodox Jews and Reformed Jews, and who knows, man, bring them all. Go out into the highways and byways and say, I've got a message about life eternal. It has to do with 10 words that God gave, and he commissioned to people to spread it around the globe. That's it. I mean, So
we got some questions already popping up in the comments. Again, it'll be 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time,
there
and
you
then
go.
it'll be a Zoom call. So
That's right. So my plan is to do what we're doing now until we enter a new it's a new day, it's a new time. October 5th, that's when I shift to Sundays, and I leave you not without a comforter. Looks like these people here are going to be fine.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. All right. Hey, beautiful stuff. Thank y'all very much. Is that it? You good?
That's it, buddy.
All right. Valentine, my brother in the Galilee, you get to wrap this up for us today. Take your time.
Oh, wow.
But you get
Oh, my
get the
gosh.
final word today.
Wow. You're right about the Shekianu. That was a wonderful idea. What a great idea. You know, that place you're talking about, you're talking about Yard and Eat, I guess. And that's just like 20 miles from here.
Okay.
I'm pointing like that. My
Yeah.
wife saw me online. She goes, you know, you should keep your hands down unless people can see your hands at all times.
Yeah.
It's kind of distracting. I'm like, all right, well, I'll try to keep that in mind. But, you know, my wife is French and so she talks with her hands all the time. It's
That's
like,
right.
you know, so I'm just used to it. But anyway, you know, I got to say, I'm really impressed with this whole idea you've got. Now, I come in after Shabbat, so I get it. People want to spend Shabbat, and I absolutely get that. And so what a wonderful thing. I really believe that you're right on track here with this thing. I think you're going to reach people that you had maybe without making this step, maybe you wouldn't reach them, but you're going to.
I think you're right.
I really think that. As soon as you said it, I started like, wow, that's impressive, because, you know, that's a big move, but I think you're right. It's good. It's very good. And, you know, also I want to say this too, before I forget, if I can help you with anything, you just let me know. Anything I can do, let me know.
I will.
I think that everyone here is where they're supposed to be on the journey, wherever you are. Anybody that can see me talking right now or hear me, you are exactly where you're supposed to be on this journey. Yeah, I'm Jewish, and I do. I keep the commandments, and sometimes maybe not as well as some of my friends down the way at the yeshiva do, but it's okay.
Right.
We get along. And but you know, it's okay. And I agree exactly what you said there, Ross. It's kind of sad when people say things. You didn't say the word sad. I'm saying the word sad. When people try to deflate the idea of, well, we can keep the 10 Commandments. Sure, you can. Sure.
Yeah.
If you tried, you could keep all the commandments that I'm supposed to keep. But don't do that. Don't worry about that right now. Just those 10, you can do that for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I didn't realize that people were saying they couldn't do it. I mean, when I was a kid, that was in the schools in America, the 10 Commandments.
Right. Right.
But we were also doing duck and cover too. So, I mean, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, that's not my point. There's something else I was thinking about. I think it was when Elisheva Betty was talking a minute ago, and it reminded me, I don't know why, because I hadn't thought about this in years, and the man has been gone a long time, but there was a man who lived in Jerusalem called Robert Lindsay. And
I know him.
He had, and he had a fascinating way of approaching the New Testament and the teachings of Jesus. And when I heard this, oh gosh, man, I'm talking 1979 or something. Had to be, yeah. And I was so enthralled with what he was saying, because, you know, it was kind of I don't know, it was just a whole different concept than what I was really thinking at the time. But he was talking about this, and he had written he was working on a book, but he had written a book that was fascinating. And through him there's another guy, David Bivin, who might still be alive, might still live in Jerusalem. And he had a class, he had a course on cassette tape and a book. I still have the book
Mm-hmm.
of biblical and modern Hebrew. And man, I studied that book. And, you know, when I first met you guys, I told you, yeah, I lived up near Cut and Shoot, Texas. That's right, Cut and Shoot. You can look it up. It's there near Conroe. And I was living up there with my dad. And it was an amazing thing. Here I was, I got this book. I wanted to study biblical Hebrew. I can guarantee you there was nowhere you're going to study biblical Hebrew in that area, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I prayed and I said, God, I really got to have this. I want this so bad, but I got to have it. And you know what? It was an amazing thing. And I told you, this woman that knew my mother, and they were high school friends, and I'd been going to school with their son for a whole year, didn't even realize it was him till the very last day. Next day, they come up to see me at our property, because our property used to be part of their property a long time ago.
Yeah.
And anyway, and she says, I've got to tell you something. I heard you talking to my son. She said, there's a biblical Hebrew class going to be starting this this Sunday at this little church. She said, it's not even a church. It's a little barn in the middle of Willis, Texas. I'm like, they're going to do what? She said, yeah, biblical Hebrew. I said, is that right? She said, I'll come up here and get you, you know, and
Wow.
I was a teenager. And she said, I'll take you up there. Well, I got to say, I went there. And this group of people was meeting in a barn. It was an old feed house right down there by the railroad tracks. It's still there in Willis, Texas, behind the Dairy Queen.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and I'll tell you, I started going there. This guy was teaching. He was Jewish, but he wasn't really practicing. He was just a Jewish guy, but he was teaching this. And I thought, how amazing is this? Thought, how amazing is God?
Yeah.
I prayed for something, and like, I was not even 2 weeks later, and I heard about this, and I started going 2 days after I heard about it. I thought, God takes an idea and goes, big stuff happens. You got an idea, and this is big stuff. And I'll tell you, I'm really happy for you about that. I think this is going to be really good. That's the main thing I wanted to say. But I also wanted to say, many years ago, like 20 years ago, I was going to the synagogue. And it was a synagogue that with the same, I just saw him today. He's 83 years old now. He was much younger man then. I was 10 years old, and he was a towering, giant of a man. But anyway, Rabbi Walter in Houston. And about 20 years ago, I was asked by these people, can you help us with the music? It's at the synagogue called Emmanuel. It's a big synagogue, huge, as a matter of fact, in Houston, Texas. And I said, and I had some reservations, because I was like, I like to spend Shabbat, evening with my wife, and we go to synagogue and stuff like that. Okay. They said, it would really help. So I went to see Rabbi Walter, and I said, would this be okay? I mean, I don't want any money for it or anything. They would pay the musicians, and paid a lot, as a matter of fact. But I said, I don't want any money for it, but I'll do this if you think it's all right. He said, it's okay. He said, I do that, right? He said, you see me there, and I'm working. He said, don't look at it as working. You're helping the congregation. You're doing something it's a need, an actual need. I said, okay. So I began doing it. I did it for many years. And then I did it every other week. Okay. And then another synagogue. I moved here. I told you I started doing a program here. I'm just doing it. Okay. Sometimes we get called upon to do stuff on Shabbat, is my point. And when we do, okay, yeah, we'd like to do a whole day of rest. But sometimes, whether it's Ross teaching the classes on Shabbat, or are these are there other things that are happening, or like Todd and Angel are going to get a meeting going with people, wow, that's big stuff. That's big stuff. So, I agree with the whole idea of moving the Sunday thing, but just know there's a blessing for giving of yourself on Shabbat. That takes a lot, and there's a lot received from that. There's a lot of blessings. So first of all, I want to say, I'm going to pray that you be blessed with your endeavors with this, and I believe that you will. And I think you'll reach millions more. I really do. And I don't know why I'm saying that, because I'm not a sensationalist, but
Well, from your mouth
and,
to God's ear, as we say.
and one last thing. I'm sorry. I didn't know that your sister-in-law passed already. I thought she was sick, but I didn't know that. I'm sorry to hear this.
It was quite fast, and in some ways, I think it's ultimately we believe in, because of our belief, we believe everything's going to be okay. A family goes through a mourning period, and certainly, my wife, she was very close to her sister, and so. But thank you for your kind words. We're fine, and like I told the priest who came into the room at one point, we're a family of faith, and that's true. So
there you go.
And we're surrounded by other people of faith. So
and one last thing. I started with the Robert Lindsay thing, and I wanted to say that man. Well, he was a minister, I believe. But he really helped me to see something. He helped me to see a bigger picture with some things. And that is that when you look at Jesus, Yeshua, when you look at him, and just from like it's very interesting from like a Greek perspective of those writings. Yeah, that's pretty powerful stuff. But in case people don't know, because I'd used that name, and you know who I'm talking about, Robert Lindsay.
Yeah.
But he took all of that writing and translated it kind of literally and slavishly into Hebrew.
Absolutely.
And it made perfect sense. It carried with it idioms that you just don't use outside of Semitic languages, especially Hebrew. And so that really wowed me. And my point with bringing that up is very simple. Whoever you are, wherever you are, you're here right now for a reason. I can't even explain it, but I know it. I see that. And you people are so good. And man, talking about studying, oh wow, you guys, you blow me away. I mean, you guys are studying stuff. It's just amazing to me. And I feel privileged to be around you folks. I really like that. Actually, I feel like part of people, not some other
excellent
person floating in. So thank you for that. And blessings to all of you. And I think Todd was right. I get tired this time of night, but that's okay. I'm glad I got to talk with you all.
And we are too.
That was wonderful. And yes, when you come to Israel, man, just let me know. Anybody, any of you guys. But when you come to Israel together, oh man, you talk about fun. We'll have fun. I know how to have fun in Israel.
We'll let you and your wife on the bus with us if you want to go to some of these sites and give you a day to run the roads while we're in the Galilee. So
wow,
good
that
stuff.
Would be great.
Hey, thank you, Valentine. We always appreciate you. I'm
to you guys.
Because I said that was it, but I am gonna unmute Carolyn, and then that is it. All right. But just so you know, one of the things that I wanted to say is that remember now, this is October 5th. I'm just letting you know early. So we still have a few weeks, but October the 5th, when I do this, we hadn't posted anything as far as the time goes. I'm still trying to think, is it going to be 2 p.m.? What? So, but we're still working on that. But speaking of time, and this is where my Talmudic studies have come in the last week, I'm going to, from the Talmud, I'm going to put us in a period, and this is stuff that, I posted about it on social media. I woke up thinking about something I read 40 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever. And I started digging deep, and I'm going to set the stage for whatever follows with Sunday school by putting people in the chronology of where we need to focus. And that's all I want to say about that, just because it's really cool. Okay, my friend Carolyn, you are the caboose, I promise.
Thank you, Ross. I appreciate it. I just wanted to tack on to what Valentine said about the Sabbath being a chance to do good work on the Sabbath.
Yep.
If you get a chance. I'm put in mind of a pastor in one of the spin-offs of the Worldwide Church of God, who, when there was a car wreck outside his door in Tennessee, refused to help the people. The people came to the door from a car wreck to ask for a phone call for an ambulance or whatever, and he refused to help them because it was his Sabbath. God willing, none of us will ever be like that.
Hopefully, let me say, hopefully you're not associating the move to Sunday with that approach.
Hell no.
Okay. Because I just want you to know, I think you know, but my move from Shabbat to Sunday is certainly not saying I can't be reached. I can't, people find a way to get in touch with me. I think, people would show up at my door if I tried to hide. So that's not it. But it is more, I think it's two parts. One, to finally, after 20 years, to just make a slight change, but it gives me Shabbat, but it also gives me, I think, a platform on Sunday. It gives everyone else an opportunity to take Shabbat off if they want to and do whatever. So, but anyway, I just wanted to make that clear. I'm not
I understand that,
out.
Ross.
Good.
And I am super glad to see you doing this. That is, from the time I was 15, I wondered how the ministers could get away with justifying working as hard as they did on the Sabbath.
Yeah.
In the Worldwide Church of God, because they worked their butt off and drove hundreds of miles here, there, and everywhere. And it wasn't right.
Hey, let me ask you, what time is I can look on my Apple, but what time, if 2 p.m. Central in the U.S., what time is that for a little place in France where you are?
Smack dab in the middle. It's going to be after 7 o'clock. I would have to look and see, but it might even be closer to 9.
Okay.
But that's okay.
Okay.
I'm up for it. I'll be there.
That's what I'm talking about. Good deal. Well, thank you, Carolyn. As always, I'm happy to hear your voice and look forward to, we've still got a couple more weeks of this. And then I want everybody, when if you feel like sharing, when Seth and I really start releasing this idea of Sunday school, help me share the news. Because I tell you, I want it to be, this is just all part of, I don't want to use the word marketing, but it's the idea of presenting things in such a way. I want people to say, hey, can I invite you to my Sunday school class? And then they join us in the Sunday school class. And I'm going to start introducing myself when somebody says, what do you do? I'm a Sunday school teacher. That's what I do.
Good for you. I can remember in Worldwide Church of God, you didn't invite anyone to church. They had to run the gauntlet with the minister first, and they had to do 6 months of Bible study and on and on and on. So you have no idea how freeing it is to know that I can invite somebody to Sunday school.
Look, here's the deal. I'm going to leave you all with this. Go out into the highways and byways. Find everybody you meet. Invite them to come to Sunday school. Let them know when we start posting Sunday school and we start giving you a day and a time, share it on social media. Tell your landlord, tell your neighbor, tell your friends, tell the grocers. Man, check out Sunday school class. And I'm going to do everything I can with lots of prayer and study to present a class which gives us good information, solid information, historical, biblical, and leads people, including all of us, to, I like to say, we are learning these things, but we're only learning these things to live a life. which is more of a testimony to the people around us. We want to change the world, nothing less than change the world. That's what we want to do. So yeah, invite them all. Look, you're not going to bring anybody in this Sunday school class that, now they might not be in the Zoom call, but you're not going to invite anybody in this class that's going to throw something at me, I don't think, that I haven't heard before. And if you do, I bet you somebody on this panel knows what, the answer. So we'll be able to help a lot of people. That's all I'll say.
Amen.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. And thank you for all that you do to make this place an open door. Remember now, I used to, when we would invite people to church with us, you don't ever want a visitor to show up and feel unwelcome. So when somebody comes in and they show up for the first time, you want to let them know, hey, Johnny, we appreciate you here. Now, if they're hateful and they're ugly or something like that, we've got a way to deal with that, I think. But if someone comes in and they're sincere, they may not agree with me, that's fine. We're big boys. We can handle it. But I really want to reach out and draw more people so that we can lead people to the truth. So have a beautiful Sabbath, rest of your Sabbath. And I'm going to run to the house and spend some time. A few more of the grandkids are showing up, and just going to get together today. So I love y'all. Appreciate you. I'll see you, I don't know, maybe this coming Thursday. Can't make a promise, but that's the deal. Got to roll. Appreciate you. Shabbat shalom. Bye.